What is up, guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. This is career mode. Finally, it is back. Apparently on my editing software it says episode number 56, so I'm just going to roll with that and we'll see how we go. This is the Japanese Grand Prix. If you missed the last episode, we just switched to Mercedes from Williams. The reasoning behind that is I just wanted to change. Oh god, we'll get back to that in a second.
That looked bad. Are you alright? Let me know you're alright.
First little lapse in anger in the Mercedes have not turned out too well, it seems. Bit of an incident there in practice. Bear in mind, apart from the Veloce squad sprint, which I filmed the other day, I have not played this game in about a month. So that's really was not lending to me too well.
That was a nasty incident. Glad to see you're no worse for wear. The car took a beating, but I think we can get it fixed up for the next session.
Better bloody hope so. You guys are the best team in the world. What are you saying? Anyway, here we are for practice 2, I think. And the conditions were not too favourable for me. Intermediate conditions. It was actually, from what I think was full wet conditions. It had just switched over to intermediates, and I was doing a race simulation practice program, and I was literally like 5-6 seconds off the pace for the first couple of laps. It was absolutely ridiculous. I was like, I was struggling to remember how to drive. I thought I had lost it or something. It had been so long, but as I put in more laps, I think the track started to improve as well, and I was able to find some kind of a rhythm. That third lap still was not good enough to beat the target. Then we got to the fourth lap, and I finally gelled with this game again, and we're actually able to go green. So hey ho, there was a silver lining at the end of the whatever you want to call it, and we get some resource points, thankfully. So I looked somewhat competitive. I actually managed to keep it on the track, hit apexes, and look like a normal F1 gaming driver. And yeah, we did alright. So you can see on the graph there the huge disparity in lap time. The first 2 laps were atrocious, just missed out on the third, and then we were able to get 50 resource points, I think it was, for that practice program. But yes, I've switched to Mercedes. Wanted to change up from Williams. We weren't going to win the championship. I don't know. I'm trying to set myself up for a very interesting storyline in season 4, I think it is. Whatever next season is, that'll be the one where we either gun for the championship in a Williams, maybe a Mercedes. I'm not too sure. There is a big regulation change that is coming up as well, which is definitely going to spice things up. So I am trying to position myself to have an interesting season next time out. But that's practice. Time for quali. Let's see what this car is made of.
Welcome to the only figure of 8 track on the F1 calendar. We're here at Suzuka for qualifying today ahead of the Japanese Grand Prix.
Thankfully, some clear skies as we get to the more important sessions of the weekend. This is qualifying 1. I'm going to increase the front wing in an effort to make the car a bit more pointy in the dry. We'll see what that does to the behavior of the car, but yeah, we're struggling for pace, it must be said. I'm not too sure where this car genuinely sits. Of course, I'm not used to the game yet. Lewis Hamilton was, I think, maybe sandbagging a little bit in practice, although still getting top 5s. You can see I'm all over the place on this first lap, so I might need to move that front wing angle down by 1 click, maybe even 2. We'll have to wait and see, but it was just too much of a handful through that first sector. I managed to clean it up a little bit through the second and third, but all the time was lost. So I think we're going to have to go out there again. I've lowered the front wing to 2.6 wings, and you can see immediately we still have, I don't know, a decent front end, but it's not to the point where it's uncontrollable. The thing I was struggling with, just getting used to this game again, was how oversteery the handling model is. You really do forget that after, you know, driving on iRacing or other simulators for a while. I was running with 9 ballast at the start of this weekend in practice, and that's when I had the crash. I've lowered it to 8 ballast, but I still would like to run with 9 ballast and really get the full potential out of this car, but I'm just not that smooth with the game yet. I need more time to get used to it. Once again, there's been a bit of a change with the handling model as well. The tire carcass temperatures have all changed. I don't know if that affects PC all too much. but there is some discrepancies now between when I last played the game and when I'm playing the game now. But you know, it shouldn't be an excuse. The handling, or at least in terms of like qualifying pace or the way the car handles over one lap, should be the same because the temperatures aren't any higher. If anything, the game should be easier now because tyre temps are going to be lower. But anyway, here we are for Q2. This is our fastest lap of the weekend. And we'll see what we can do. We only just squeaked through into this session. We got 15th place in Q1. Not that great, to be honest. But yeah, I really don't know where this Mercedes genuinely sits in the pecking order. It is the 5th best car, I believe. But you never quite know where it actually sits because of the upgrades that are applied to the car. Are they a lot of durability stuff? Is it performance related? At Williams and Sauber particularly, I've always targeted performance related upgrades, and that can often, I don't know, on paper you look worse, but when you actually get to the circuit you're a lot faster than maybe some of your other competitors. And I feel like maybe Mercedes is one of those ones where it's not quite as fast as what the game is telling us to be, but we'll wait and see. Final couple of corners here in this lap, and looks like we're catching up to Stroll, so it looks like we're at least faster than him, but he pulls into the pit lane across the line. Does it get it through to Q3? No, it does not, and Hamilton doesn't make it through either. So either A, Mercedes is absolutely trash and everyone has been out upgrading it, or B, Lewis had a bad lap, because there's no way that I would beat him straight off the bounce after not playing the game for a month. You decide.
Great work out there today. How do you think it went? How does a new car compare to your last one?
It's better, slightly.
How will not making Q3 affect your strategy tomorrow?
Gives me a free choice of tyre, but you haven't given me that option, so I have to slag off the team.
Appreciate your time.
Cheers, yeah. Prick.
And a very warm welcome to the Japanese Grand Prix, an event that has decided a Drivers' Championship 11 times over the years and has hosted some very memorable races as well. Who can forget Kimi Raikkonen's win from 17th on the grid in 2005, or Kamui Kobayashi's incredible drive to a podium in 2012. Well then, after an exciting qualifying session yesterday, let's take a look at how the cars line up. Kimi Raikkonen starts today from pole position, and starting alongside in P2 is Sebastian Vettel. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Perez, Alonso, Charles Leclerc and Ericsson, Mr. Monaco, Hamilton, Ricciardo and Esteban Ocon, Stroll, Sirotkin, Stoffel Van Dorn and Gasly, Sainz, Hartley, Max Verstappen and Nico Hülkenberg. They've taken a grid penalty. Magnussen and Roman Grosjean starts from the back of the grid.
Okay, here we go. I know what you can do. Don't let me down.
Thank you, Jeffrey. It is time for the Japanese Grand Prix. We find ourselves elevated into P7. Both the Renault's getting penalties, a Red Bull getting penalties as well, and someone else. So that gives us pretty good track position. We do have the free choice of tyre for the race. We're going to go for the softs to the mediums. Looking back at it now, this might be a conservative strategy, given the tyre temp situation, but I don't really have any experience post-patch, so I'm just going to roll with this and see how it handles for me. But going forward, I feel like I can be very aggressive with tyre strategies. We could be aggressive before anyway. It was PC. I do have tyre wear upgrades. But to be honest, I actually haven't checked the Mercedes to see what kind of level of tyre wear upgrades they do have applied, if any. That was a bit of laziness on my part, so I'll have to do some research on that. But I do know that the Mercedes is lacking a little bit for downforce, so there's that. 5 red lights for the start of this Japanese Grand Prix, and away we go for the start of what is pretty much a new era for my channel. But let's see how it goes for us. Heading into turn 1, we've been overtaken by Daniel Ricciardo. Pretty weird seeing him in a Red Bull in 2019. Gives us the big squeeze into turn 2, and well, we pretty much end up where we started after, well, the initial getaway anyway. But it's been an okay start. We still have our front wing. I was a little bit worried that I was going to spin out there on Ricciardo or maybe even lose damage. We still are running with simulation damage, as we always have. Up the inside. Thank you very much. P7. Back to where we started. Next up is Ericsson. He had a couple of places penalty, and I think maybe Leclerc did as well. I can't exactly remember, but it hasn't set them too far back in this Grand Prix. He now goes for a move on Fernando Alonso. The McLaren is deceptively fast in this season of career mode, and I don't know where that has come from. Maybe a bit of inspiration from my F1 2017 career mode, but I'll digress. Here we go on the start-finish straight with Daniel Ricciardo. We've got Lance Stroll, my former teammate, looking to make a move as well. He pretty much forces himself off the track to go around the outside of Daniel Ricciardo. Will it work, though? I think he lost a bit of his front wing, or someone did, so they'll be not faring too well in the latter stages of this race. But settling into this race right now, looks like we've got the pace on Alonso. He was untouchable in qualifying. I just couldn't touch anyone in the top 10, I suppose, even though we weren't that too far off. We only had one shot at it in Q2, but anyway, in the race, different story. We've got a harder compounded tyre, and these guys are really going to struggle for tyre wear possibly in this first stint. Alonso comes back at me here on the next DRS straight, but we weather that storm and keep Alonso behind the P7. So Mercedes OP, as it always has been. McLaren always struggling for drag. They can't blame Honda no more. Renault is just as bad in the back of their car. But yeah, we'll be hopefully not seeing him for the rest of this race, and we continue to march forward. Next up is Sergio Perez. Super soft tyres as well, so he'll be dying towards the end of this stint. Looks like he's actually dying now as he pulls over to the side. Some kind of problem. And that's another position for us. It's not a puncture. I had a look on the replay cameras. Couldn't find anything. Honestly, no idea. Completely stumped. So if you have an idea as to what the hell went wrong with Perez's car, feel free to let me know. We have a virtual safety car. If I was on the super soft tyre strategy, would have been a perfect time to dive in and put on the mediums. But unfortunately, we started on softs. And that strategy decision is already making me regret it. Away we go for green flag running once again. Ericsson is the next car. He's a good 5 seconds up the road. I don't know if I have the pace on him to close him in. Maybe the guys in front, but the Sauber is still ridiculously fast. I really do regret going absolutely ham on upgrading that car. We've got Stroll going around the outside of us here into turn 1. He's coming back at us once again. Now Williams, we've got to watch out for, really strong in the top end, because of all those drag reduction upgrades we did before we left the team. Their acceleration still not that great. We didn't do too many engine upgrades. Couldn't get to them with the way that the tree was positioned for engine power upgrades. But yeah, if we can just save a bit of battery for the back end of the straight, we should be able to have him covered and hold on to the position in 4th place as a few super soft runners decide to make their stops. So they're running quite deep into the race, it must be said. In lap 8, they're getting to a point where they could probably get to the end on medium tyres. So this strategy isn't faring all too well for me at the moment, but what I will have is flexibility later on in the race with fresher tyres. I will maybe run an extra lap or two longer than those guys and see what I can do that way. But it's looking like the strategy here, that the tyres are just lasting in and holding in very, very well here at this Japanese Grand Prix. Anyway, lap 10, we are fighting off Lance Stroll. We've got the Saubers making their pit stop. Virtual safety car has been deployed, and now there's been a whole gaggle of position changing between myself and Stroll. I don't know who's supposed to be ahead here, because Stroll overtook me just as the VSC came out. Then he let me go, and then I was like, oh, I'm ahead of the Delta. Do I need to let him go? I let him go, and then I was like, hang on a second. Maybe I should get back in front of him. But it was just a mass amount of confusion. But it doesn't matter. We're away for green flag running once again. It's a shame that there's no full course cautions here. We've had 2 VSCs so far, none of which have helped me. Safety car would have really brought us in the game there with the Saubers and the Renaults. The Renaults started further back, but they are mega, mega pacey in this season of career mode. We've now got our teammates, the company behind us. Thanks in course to Stroll holding us up a little bit. Here's Hamilton. I thought he was going to pit maneuver me here in this run into 130R. Thankfully, he backs out of it before I lose the back end. Absolutely crapping myself, thinking I was going to die about 3 or 4 times on this straight. The 8 ballast setup is still pretty twitchy, it must be said. Have to watch it through 130R, and also heading into the first sector. It's the first little left-right chicane. I think it's like turn 3 and 4 up here. The back end can be pretty loose through there as well, so you need to watch out for that. But here comes Leclerc after his first pit stop, already overtaking us, so he's leading by a country mile here in this Japanese Grand Prix, once you factor in all the pit stops. But here we go. Speaking of, it's Williams versus Mercedes. Former team versus current team, and it looks like the former team is going to come out on top. We just got held up for a second there, just bobbled, or hesitation from the pit crew there, as I think Esteban Ocon was in the fast lane. But as we rejoin on the circuit, I had an absolute mare. Couldn't remember what the pit release button was, and I lost about 2 or 3 seconds there. And I think because of that, Lewis Hamilton is going to jump us after he makes his stop, and he does. So, pretty frustrating. Just teething problems, really, as I actually changed my button mapping on my wheel. I've now got official firmware for my wheel. I didn't have that back in Australia. I was using the wrong button mapping. I was using my McLaren button mapping, which is really embarrassing. I shouldn't have been doing that. But anyway, we've got Ericsson re-overtaking us here on lap 15. I don't know how he's ended up behind me in a position to have to re-overtake me, but he's overtaken us once again. Almost brake checked us into the first sector, which I really appreciate, and now we might be able to use Marcus as a bit of a buffer to try and attack the Williams and my teammate. You can see Stroll absolutely bottled it into turn 1. That might give us a free position, as he actually parked it after he was trying to rejoin on the circuit. Here's a replay of the incident. Hamilton up the inside into turn 1. Ericsson nearly drilled him on the start-finish straight, and then you guys saw what happened. Free position for us. I think that's us up into P5 with a potential podium up for grabs. I didn't mention this, but Ericsson has a 10-second time penalty. The engineer was telling me about it while I was busy talking about button mapping, so I am really sorry about that. And away we go for the run to the flag. It's Mercedes v Mercedes. We've got a lot of overspeed heading into 130R. She's had to lift off massively to avoid running into the back of him. A bit of patience was shown, and hopefully the team boss can appreciate that I avoided a crash. Here we go, DRS, slipstream, overtake mode is engaged, and now we're going to see what we can do up against our teammate up the inside into turn 1. Thank you very much. It's very, very close between the two of us. Toto Wolff is not happy. He's just had his #1 driver overtaken by, well, I am the defending champion, but I am the new kid in town in Mercedes, and that could be the first shot at supremacy in this racing team. But anyway, we've still got 5 laps to go. I'm in a little bit of trouble in terms of fuel and ERS. ERS in particular. I was going absolutely ham for my fuel, my bloody battery. I'm sorry, I'm not used to commentating anymore. It's just, I'm so rusty, okay? Just give me a break. Hamilton's coming back at me. I was really struggling for battery. It was absolutely calm for battery all race. I was able to run in high and overtake and hot lap, but now all of a sudden, I don't know if it's overheating or something, but I was not able to utilize the battery as much as I would have liked earlier on in the race. I'm looking at you, Toto. I think you're sabotaging me. But anyway, we've got 2 laps to go in this Grand Prix. Hamilton actually ran into the back of me on the run into turn 1, so thank you very much for that, Chief. I don't know how he didn't lose his front wing, but looks like we're going to hold on and get P4 in this race. Bloody hell. I've only just managed to stretch out the gap to Hamilton on this last lap or 2. We managed to find an extra gear. We saved a little bit of fuel, a little bit of battery, and we're going to come away with 3rd place. 3rd place. We finished within 10 seconds of Ericsson. No response from Mercedes. They are shell-shocked.
Brilliant stuff from Sauber today. What a superb victory. And Anthony Davidson, give me your thoughts. How did they accomplish this result?
Well, I'd say it's just raw pace, plain and simple. I mean, we could sit here and talk about strategy all day, the overtaking, looking after the tyres, but at the end of it all, if you want to win, you need a package that's got the speed over everyone else, and that's exactly what they had today.
Looks like they're on their way out to the podium now, and what a result this is, and what a popular one with the crowd as well. Great stuff to see the Sauber team on top here today.
Once again, it is victory for Sauber. These guys just don't know when to quit. They continue to upgrade, they continue to innovate, to push the boundaries, and it looks like they are well on their way to their second Constructors and Drivers title in a row. For us, it's a podium, 40 seconds off the pace of Charles Leclerc. I don't know what happened to Sebastian Vettel. He was up there at 1 point. Only Raikkonen getting on the podium, so interesting strategies there from Ferrari. Vettel getting screwed over by the two-stop, it seems, but good race from us. I don't know what happened with the end of race team radio. I think all of the team members were trying to hold back Toto Wolff from screaming down the mic and trying to shout abuse at me or something. I'm not too sure. Let's have a look at the penalty for Ericsson. It came on lap 12, but I don't know what would warrant a 10-second penalty like that. It's apparently exceeding track limits, so he must have cut really badly. I'm thinking maybe at the final chicane, he's made contact with someone. Looks like it's with Vettel, as it said on the race director. So he's probably crashed into Vettel, cut the final chicane pretty badly, got 10 seconds, and that has ruined his race, unfortunately. Not unfortunate for us. So we sit in P7, 206 points off the lead of the championship. Valtteri Bottas there down in P11, the driver we have replaced, quite fittingly, sitting on 77 points in this championship, and he will score no more as we are at Mercedes for the rest of this season. 4th place in the Constructors. Don't know how much further forward we can move from there, but I think the aim is just to rebuild Mercedes in a way, get the upgrades going, build some momentum for them heading into next season, and then assess our options heading into a regulation change. So that's where we're at for career mode. Just bringing you guys up to speed once again. It's been a long time, and I really appreciate everyone who stuck with me for this series. It's been a bit of a patchy period, just moving from one side of the world to the other. I feel like I'm finally getting settled in. I need to buy a car this week, so that's kind of taking up a lot of my time and why this episode was delayed a little bit, but hopefully very, very soon there will be no more delays and I'll be able to upload very, very regularly. We did a major downforce upgrade to the rear wing, and that'll be coming on the car in time for the Mexican Grand Prix. This car is suffering a lot with downforce, and that might be something we'll target, given that the regulation change does not affect performance of the aero for next season. But anyway, that's it from me today. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to see plenty more racing game content. That is a breakdown of the upgrades so far this season. Williams moving forward after I left, and Mercedes plateauing ever since the Belgian Grand Prix, or there or thereabouts. But anyway, that's it from me today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Until the next one, the US Grand Prix. A track I don't do too well at, but I'll have plenty of excuses ready. Until then, I'll see you next time.